everyone, to another week of the Focus TV. We have Octavia Wire here, Raymond Lyons, Wilson Tarpe Jr. We'll get straight to it. This is season 8, episode 28 of the Focus TV. We are going to start like we have been recently. Ray, the Washington Mystics.
Yeah, man, we're kind of deep into the throes of the season at this point. Mystics 7 games in, they're sitting at 3-4. Which is not bad. Had a couple games kind of slip away from them. One of their main deficiencies this season up to this point has been they got to take care of the ball. That's been prevalent in all of their losses and the wins as well. But they've been able to overcome it in those few games. But mainly their last game against New York, they just kind of gave the ball away at inopportune times, combined with with their offensive futility. They weren't able to they just weren't able to put the ball in the basket, plain and simple. Especially given the makeup of New York's team and how the Mystics have been playing this season. They've been having a lot of success at the rim, but New York's got two huge rim deterrents and Stewie and Jonquil Jones, and the Mystics just had trouble finishing over them. They shot 28% from the field in that game, which combined with the turnovers kind of led to their the first game that was just completely out of reach for them this season. They lost 83-65, but they still had flashes in that game. New York, they started fast, but the Mystics didn't go away. It wasn't the Liberty just didn't steamroll them. Mystics made a couple pushes. At the beginning of the third, they came out and had a quick 7-0 run, and it looked like they were about to, find their way back into the game. But Sandy Wardello called a timeout. Sabrina Ionescu just directed traffic, got an easy bucket, and the Liberty were back off to the races. But yeah, man, the Mystics are showing flashes, man, and that's super impressive, especially when they're depending on rookies for a bulk of their production. But Kiki Iriafen and Sonia Citron, they responded and answered the call. They're probably the two best rookies in the W up to this point. Being honest, I think Sonia leads all rookies in scoring, and Kiki's been putting up double doubles almost every game. So it's going to be good to see them continue to progress and develop throughout the season. Right now, tonight, they're in action against Indiana. The third quarter just started. They're down 38-36. And, again, the story in this one, they had 9 turnovers in the first half. If not for that, this could be we could be looking at a different situation. They shot the ball well. They shot 51% in the first half. They severely out-rebounded the Fever. They controlled points in the paint, but they gave up 12 points off turnovers. So, yeah, man, it's just going to be interesting to see how they continue to address that and clean that up. I talk often about the pace they play, which at times is going to contribute to that. But if you're going to play at that pace, you can't just concede that you're going to give the ball up at that rate. So, yeah, man, just growing pains, conforming to a new system, people getting more comfortable with each other. And yeah, man, I got no doubt they'll be able to address that. And yeah, man, we'll see how the rest of this game goes. And yeah, we'll join you for Mystics Outlook a little later on.
For sure. They're busy this month, several home games. Have a weird little hiccup in their schedule where there's like just a week. They just have a week of no games in the middle of June. And then they're back at it. So we'll see y'all several times this month on Mystics Outlook. That said, from the W over to the association. Hey, man, we are here. We have reached the NBA Finals. It took a little while. Well, some teams made quick work of it. That said, Octavia, you are free to share your thoughts on the conference finals if you would like. But honestly, we're here to get what y'all have to say about the finals, knowing that they're starting in just a couple of days. We have the Indiana Pacers taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, just to briefly touch on the conference finals, I think both teams that won, I think pretty much as the series went on for both, anybody could pretty much tell that those two teams are going to come out I think the Knicks made a decent push at the end, but the Pacers have been playing, if not, I'll say second best, because the Thunder have been playing really, really well in the playoffs as well. So kudos to the Knicks for making it, as well as the Timberwolves, especially both teams coming off of trades in this past offseason, looking for integral pieces to get added to their team to get them to this place. I mean, the Timberwolves back-to-back years in the Western Conference Finals. So very good for both. But like you said, we're now at the finals. If there's anybody out there that thought outside, I mean, I think that a lot of people definitely had the Thunder coming in, but if you had the Thunder playing against the Pacers, you're like Nostradamus or something. Like, I hope you played the numbers, because I don't think anybody 100% saw this coming. But I think as the playoffs started and seeing how the Pacers have played, seeing Pascal Siakam, and then I feel like a lot of this always comes down to coaching as well. Like, I feel like Rick Carlisle doesn't get a lot of credit. A lot of people don't talk about him. A lot of people forget that his teams have been deemed as underdogs in finals before, a la the Mavs against the Heat in 2011, I believe it was. So we know he knows how to get the most out of his players. And they're all playing well. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton, of course, is having an incredible year. And even to say that he didn't win Eastern Conference MVP, that went to Pascal Siakam. I looked at the votes, and it looks like Pascal had one more vote than Tyrese Halliburton. So that just shows you how close of a contest it was between the two of them. But I think that this series is going to be sneaky good for people who probably are, just fair weather fans or just watching, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who watch basketball that don't watch the Pacers and don't watch the Thunder. Two teams in quote unquote small markets making it to the finals is huge for them as well. And think about it, a lot of them did it the right way. A lot of both of them did it the right way. They didn't. I mean, granted, they both had key additions and free agency, but a lot of their players, homegrown, they coached them up and they got them ready for it. I mean, to think about Miles Turner, I think his joke was that pretty much every year he's on the trading block, it seems. So for him, I think this is year 10 for him to finally make it to a finals, especially I'm not 100% sure, but I think he's probably the longest tenure Pacer still on the team. So he's gone through it all for him to get there. And I mean, of course, he's elevated his game as well. I think this is going to be a crazy series. Both teams are very deep. They go 8, 9, 10 deep in the bench. They have a lot of good, if you want to call them others, but you also have the stars. Shea, of course, the MVP, is going to do what he has to do. Y'all can call him a free throw merchant if you want to. He just knows how to play the game, and he knows how to get to the line, and he knows how to score. And he knows how to keep his team involved. Chet Holmgren, I mean, I feel like this is kind of still his rookie year. Like, I feel like I don't know how many years it is. I know he missed his very first year. So this is like his rookie or sophomore year, really. And he missed a big chunk of the season as well with I believe they said a hip injury. And there was a point in period of time where he couldn't even walk. So to see him out there playing like that, a key addition with Isaiah Hartenstein, Alex Caruso being the old head vet that they call him, going out there playing defense on every big man that needs somebody to stop them. You can't go wrong when you have a defensive stopper like him. So I think this series is very evenly matched. We got two, young stars with Shea and Tyrese Halliburton. Of course, you still got to mention Jalen Williams, who's right there with Shea as well, playing with him. So I think it's going to be a great series. I'm excited for it. It's kind of sad because the season's almost over, but it's exciting as well because you're going to have a new champ. You're going to have players that have never won a championship before. You're going to have a young superstar try to. Some people will argue to solidify their superstardom with the championship. So it's going to be very interesting. I think it's really going to come down to home court advantage. Oklahoma City, their fans are crazy. The Pacers fans are just as good as well, but you think about it, they're going to have one more home game than they will. So I'm very interested to see how this series goes.
Okay, right.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely looking forward to the finals. it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams playing styles match up. Um, Indiana likes to get up and down. Oklahoma City, they kind of more on the grinded outside, but they can play with tempo as well. Um, yeah, I think most if Oklahoma City can get Indiana in the half court more often than they would like, then advantage Thunder. If Indiana can get out and run, this thing could get interesting, man. We seen how they just kind of ran the Knicks out the gym. They're running off makes, misses, everything. So yeah, if the more they can stop OKC from getting the half court and setting up their defense, I think the more they give themselves a chance. But even still, those are two teams that execute really well. They take care of the ball. They make good decisions. Halliburton, the way he can control the game, that's going to do wonders for them. I think that was the main thing that was missing for the Timberwolves. If you don't have somebody that can direct traffic and get quality offensive sets often against that type of defense, then you're going to lose the series 4-1 like Minnesota did. Indiana doesn't have, Timberwolves offense kind of revolves around Ant. Indiana really doesn't play that way. They got a few guys that they can go to for huge stretches or even entire games. So, it's going to be interesting to see how OKC how game plans around that. But like their defense, man, that's just a tall task to deal with. Like literally 1 through 12 is on your ass. So we gonna see. But yeah, like Octavia said, it's definitely a good thing to have two. Well, yeah, OKC was probably on a lot of people's boards to come out the West, but yeah, Indiana just kind of, I don't want to say came out of nowhere, but they, at least for me, it's a surprise to see them in this position. They just hit their stride at the right time and they're playing great basketball. So yeah, man, just can't wait to see them get to it. And I think this first game, seeing how Indiana is able to handle OKC's pressure on the road, I think that's going to be a big indicator how the series is going to go.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. We're just reading numbers a little bit earlier where like they might not be another team more like reliant on defensive rebounding in terms of how they play, how important that is for them, than the Pacers. If anybody's wondering why they've had so many games where they come back, when they usually get stops or start boarding, other teams do not. It's one shot and done. And we've seen this multiple times. How many 20-point leads have they erased this playoffs? Like way too many. It's absurd. It's enough that it's past the point of, hey, is this sustainable? Yeah, they're in the finals. It's for them. They answered the question. It's sustainable for them. So that'll be interesting. And both you guys touched on the most important, like each team's, best player is kind of the floor general. It's going to be crazy. Who's going to make the most damning mistakes here? And then also the depth at the position. So you guys both mentioned how deep both teams go. That backup point guard matchup is going to be huge too. When Shea's out the game, when Tyrese is off the floor. As a whole, just who's going to be able to take care of the ball? Because we know that's how both these teams got here. They turn you over, or they get stops, and they score. Rinse, wash, repeat. And you can't do anything about it because they're scoring. It's ready, as you said, folks out here running off makes, misses. They don't care. They're just out here. I'm interested to see how Siakam fares into this for OKC because he's a little different than some of the fours they've seen thus far, both him and Obi. But really, Pascal, you went from Julius, where Julius plays how Julius plays, to Siakam, which is kind of I don't think there's be an issue of Siakam getting the ball out of his hand if he's doubled. There's gonna be spaces on the floor where you could leave Julius, maybe that maybe you can't leave Siakam. He did win that award from that last series for a reason. I know Octavia said it was by a vote, and that's another guy who's been here before. We got two teams where this, is first time for a lot of folks on these rosters. Siakam's been around this already. He wasn't the guy on that team, but he was very important on that team because OG was out during that playoff run for Toronto. Siakam carried quite a big he shouldered a big load up over there for Toronto as well. And then Miles Turner. Really interested to see how that factors into the series. Octavia mentioned, been in the league 10 plus. Thought that he does a really good job at playing what he is, that stretch five. He does a really, really good job of it. And yeah, Ray, like you said, the depth. I'm just here for the depth. Like that's where I think everything's going to be won is which groups others, I guess, can be most consistent throughout this series. And like y'all mentioned, that home court usually leads to others performing better. But again, with the Pacers, I don't know, man. They're just weird. I don't have a pick at all. I just want to enjoy the finals. Did you guys have a pick at all, or?
I mean, gun ahead, I will probably go with OKC. To be fair, I mean, I think that they have all the pieces. They've been clicking on all cylinders all year. Like, I think I knew they won 68 games, like when it happened, but just hearing it again, I forgot. I was like, dang, like they really only lost like 14 games during the season, and they play, like you said, they play defense 1 through 12, and they share the ball so well. They're so connected as a team. So gun ahead, I would say OKC, but I think a lot of people are counting the Pacers out, and they shouldn't. Like I said, Rick Carlisle's a hell of a coach. He's going to have them ready to go. I can see it going either way, but I definitely agree with what both of you guys said. Like the others are going to play a big part, and like you mentioned, they said others play better at home. So that home court advantage is going to come into play to a certain degree. So if I had to, I would say that, but I would not be surprised if the Pacers were able to pull it out. I mean, I've seen some outlandish takes already. People are saying that, this could be the first time that somebody's ever got swept in the finals. I think the I don't even know what to call it right now, but the line is like they got OKC winning by 10 in the first game. I think the Pacers are being a little bit disrespected, but I think it's just because nobody foresaw them actually doing it and putting it together. But if you think about it, that was the same thing that a lot of people were worried about with OKC. Pretty much all year, everybody was saying like, yeah, they're great. Yeah, they're good. Can they really put it together when time it comes down to it? And obviously, they have. I know people were reacting off of last year with them being the number 1 seed last year and then also being the number 1 seed this year. Then I think they're the youngest team in the league as well. But they got some dogs over there. So gun ahead, if I had to, I would say OKC, but I definitely agree. It could be a toss up either way. And like you guys also said, that first game, I think is really going to set the tone to see how this series is going to go.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of where my head is at as well. Like if I had to pick, I'd go with OKC, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers come out of this thing. Just because they're like a boxer with an awkward style that just kind of throws punches from weird angles and you can't really figure them out. Like you just you just got to be better than them. And I mean and that's a hard thing to do with an awkward team like that. Like it's hard to pinpoint where to focus or attack because it comes from different places almost on a game-to-game basis.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I guess Rick Carlisle got me kind of leaning Indiana. And that's kind of like the only thing for me. And that's not a knock on KC at all because OKC has been outstanding from start to finish this year. There's not one bad word that can be uttered, but I'm kind of with Octavia. I think some people are kind of just dismissing the the Pacers a little bit. I also think some of that has to do with just some people might have just watched them for the first time when they were forced to during the playoffs, which it feels like a lot of that's coming to. They've cut like they haven't been great all year, but they have good players and stuff, guys. Like one of them was just an Olympian, and how many times have we seen guys go to the Olympics and people talk about how good that is for folks and the type of seasons they usually have after it. Both teams' best players just were solid in the Olympics, but it's whatever. Looking forward to it. I think game 1 is Thursday, game 2 is Sunday. So we definitely got a couple games to talk to you guys about next time we see you. We will move on from this into rapid fire, which I'm sure there's a topic that all of you guys have guessed, and no one should be shocked by. The good old New York Knicks. Guess we'll start there with decisions that teams make and the reasons that they make said decision. Here we go. Put that up on the screen for everybody. The New York Knicks are relieving Tom Thibodeau of his duties as head coach. Sources tell ESPN, aka Shams. Tibbs led the Knicks to their first Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years, made playoffs in 4 or 5 years, and led Knicks to consecutive 50-plus win seasons for the first time since the 90s. Since the 90s. It's 2025. Thoughts on the Knicks' decision, and do you have any favorites to take over for Tibbs? Octavia will go with you. Your thoughts on this wonderful, wonderful decision that the Knicks have stumbled across somehow.
The Knicks was like, we might not have made the finals, but y'all still gonna talk about us. I'm surprised, but I'm not like shockingly surprised because the talks have been around. There are murmurs and whispers and rumors that were happening. I think the shocking part of it is they just extended his contract last year, and I believe his contract didn't even kick in yet. So they're going to owe him $30 million regardless. So, I mean, there's that. There's the fact that they gave up 5 picks for Mikal Bridges. There's the fact that they gave up additional picks for Cat. So it just seems like they're kind of in a little bit of a tailspin to a certain degree. And it seems like with all of that they did and they weren't able to make it to the finals, somebody has to be the scapegoat. And the easiest person to get rid of is the coach. I honestly think that a lot of the qualms that people have with Tibbs as far as how much he plays his starters, I actually think he did a better job of it this year than he did last year. I heard a stat where like last year it was like 2 or 3 of the starting 5 was averaging over like 43 minutes per game. He was able to at least nobody was over 40 minutes. I mean, so there are small victories, of course, when it comes down to it. But I just think that it's kind of slightly reminiscent of what's actually funny of the coach name that's floated to possibly take his place in Malone. It gives me a little bit of a reminder of Denver letting him go because they probably already wanted to and they just didn't know when they could pull the trigger. And I think that the Knicks probably overachieved to a certain degree this year. Nobody thought they were getting past Boston. A lot of people didn't think they were getting past Detroit to a certain degree. So I just think that they're looking for something to shake it up to a certain degree. And the only thing that they really could do was the coach. I would be very interested to see who takes their place. I've heard a lot of different names populate around. Of course, the big one, Malone. I think people were even floating Brunson's dad taking over at some point, as well as the funniest one I heard. I don't even know if it's an actual thing, but if Jay Wright was to come over and decide that he wants to coach his former players and somehow, some way we get Dante back in the mix and it's Nova North at this point and just run all the plays we ran in college and we'll be good. So I'm very interested. I feel like that they have to have something in place for them to pull the trigger like this. So I'll be interested to see more that comes out as the days go by. And I think the biggest takeaway also is that a lot of people are thinking, is this the move for them to try to get Giannis? You know, they're floating it. Everybody's talking about Giannis wants to be in New York. Giannis wants to be in New York. But Giannis doesn't want to play for a coach like Tibbs. So is that the move that they decided they wanted to do, to put their chips all in the basket to say, hey, we're going after Giannis? No. But I would hope they have a plan. But as Wilson pointed out, they have been in purgatory since the 90s. So the plans that they've had in the last couple of centuries, I'm exaggerating, but haven't gone into fruition. So we'll see. I was surprised that it happened, but just not shocked.
Ray, your thoughts on the Knicks canning Tibbs after the numbers I just shared with you? Again, it's 4 playoff appearances in 5 years and back-to-back 50-plus win seasons in their first conference finals in 25 years.
You deserve what you get after this. He was obviously building something and having success. You know, I don't think people are grasping the concept of patience and development. Like, is the rope 1 year or 2 years to win a championship? Like, I mean, and it's not even guaranteed you're ever going to win a championship. So why would you get rid of somebody that's at least getting you in the vicinity? Like, I mean, back-to-back conference finals is not. I don't think that's that's being unsuccessful. It's hard to get to that level. So yeah, man, I think it's kind of weird to, like, after they shook things up roster wise, to then make a coaching change right on the back end of that. And like Octavia pointed out, you just promised the man $30 million, so you're going to be paying him anyway, and now you got to pay another coach. So what do we do here? So that coach has to at least get to the finals immediately, right? Because then you're just starting over. You're going back 5 years. So I don't know, man. I don't know what these guys are thinking. You know, and then in this era that we're in of, you know, we see, like Octavia pointed out earlier, we see 2 homegrown teams in the finals just kind of develop talent. And if your goal is to just try to make a big splash in free agency and ride it to the top, God bless you. We're in the second apron era, so go ahead and handcuff yourself if you want to. But yeah, I think they just set themselves back no matter who they bring in here. You know, of course, Malone's name is floating around. Fantastic coach. But coming into a situation like this where it's like, all right, we got rid of the last guy because he couldn't get to the finals and win a championship. So it just doesn't work like that. You don't just plug and play and then all of a sudden you got the guy you want and you're automatically getting over the hill. Doesn't work like that. But, you know, we'll see. But like you pointed out, their decision making hasn't yielded much positivity in the last 30 some odd years. So I really have no incentive to have faith in them. So prove me wrong, Knicks.
Yeah, man. Since the 1990s, you think he solely was the issue here? Nothing else here was possibly a problem. Again, Octavia talked about the 5 first-round picks you used. And then just to be in a situation where there's been room for some folks to even say, like, you gave up 5 first-round picks, but you still need another, you know, high-level scorer on the team. But you paid what you paid for, and that's not exactly what you got back. And it's not a knock on Mikal Bridges, because Mikal Bridges is who Mikal Bridges is. You gave up 5 first-round picks to do that. So if you're okay doing that, I guess my question is, why are you so quick to get rid of the coach? You don't have to defend using 5 first-round picks. Usually when we see that many picks attached to somebody, they usually average 24, 25 plus. And again, that's not a knock on, just simply saying that's typically what the going rate is for when someone puts up that much capital. So, hey, decisions are decisions. Way to nick it up. And that is why I gave that up. And it feels great. Oh my goodness. It feels great. Could you imagine just the glass of emotions in Knicks fan finally relevant on purpose since the 90s, right? There's no bad ball-headed man to send you packing and ruin your hopes on a regular scheduled basis. You're safe. You do all the stuff that you did, and you get here and you get beat by another team who's has also not been as successful since the 90s to a large degree. Not knocking the Pacers or whatever, but it's not like the Granger-led Pacers won a title or something. How did you do that, Knicks? That's my question. How did you do that? You literally wasted enough time for a new villain, for Indiana to get a new villain to torment you. And now you gave up your coach. All right, man. Shout out to y'all, man. Gotta love it, right? Octavia, this one is for you.
Oh,
it's not even that bad.
It's not.
It's really not. Niners and Eagles made a trade this week. It took a few days for the compensation to be announced as each team's respective fan base went rabid about the compensation, even though, it's just, here's the compensation while people were arguing all this nonsense. The Niners gave up a 2026 conditional pick. It's a fifth rounder that could turn to a fourth, depending on what Huff does in terms of production over in San Francisco. See a lot of people who won the trade. Folks are like, Howie doesn't lose trades. Howie never loses. Don't pick up the phone when Howie calls. All that good stuff that's been all out there. Who won the trade? What do you guys think of the trade? Or is this just a rare trade where just both teams got what they needed and life goes on? Ray, we'll start with you, and then we'll get to the rest of the Eagles fan.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's this was even even exchange here for the most part. At best, you gave up a fourth round pick. I mean, if somebody finds a diamond in the rough, that could turn into something. But yeah, man. I mean, you gave up a marginal pick, and you got something to address a need in return. I think this is much ado about nothing. I don't think it's definitely not worth all the the hoopla and conversation that's surrounding it. So I mean, but social media going social media. So yeah, man. I don't think this is newsworthy
At all. But the noise. Octavia, I guarantee your view is going to be different than some of those in your fan base.
It's mildly different. Yeah, I don't even care. To be fair, to the point where I saw it. I remember the noise when it was first coming up before it was finalized a couple days ago, and I was like, oh. To the point where I don't even think I looked at what it was for, who was for. Because, I mean, of course, being a fan of the team, I've already kind of know that Bryce Huff wasn't anybody that we really coveted at that point. And I pretty much felt we lost Darius Slay, CJ Gardner-Johnson. We lost a lot of key players from our team, and they were willing to let them walk. Bryce Huff wasn't that. If those people can be moved, and granted, don't get me wrong, a lot of them were moved due to money situations. Bryce Huff didn't produce for us that well. We have other defensive ends coming in. We have a really good defensive coach now, and Vic Fangio. There are a lot of boys that you might not know about that's on the roster, that's in training camp, that's in OTAs, that are going to get coached up, that are going to be able to take his place, that are going to cost a lot less. So it's just the nature of the beast of the business. And I mean, it's not like we haven't done business with the 49ers before. I mean, they took Javon Hargrave in the past. It happens. Like, I don't really like, honestly, like I haven't even looked up enough stuff to know that it was like some hoopla around it, because I really was like, oh, okay, Bryce Huff's gone. Like, I mean, I think the only thing that I was wondering in the trade, because like I said, I really didn't look at what the compensation was. I didn't know if any other players were involved. So like that was the only other thing that I was kind of interested in. Like, did we get a player or did we just get picks? But just the picks, like, and I will be the most unbiased Eagles fan when I say Howie is amazing. Howie has missed in the past. Let's not get it twisted. There's a Jalen Reagor out there somewhere. Like, let's remember, okay? We got a Jalen Reagor instead of a Justin Jefferson. So Howie misses sometimes. It's not often, but it does happen. I don't think that's the situation that we're in right now. In this trade, it doesn't move the needle for me.
Jalen Reagor's trade is crazy.
But I'm still mad about that. Obviously.
That's actually something worth being mad about. Like, all right, so Bryce Huff had a really good year, I think, in 2023, playing for the Jets when Saleh was the Jets coach, right? Then the Eagles did what the Eagles usually do. They're like, all right, young pass rusher, team doesn't have room to keep him, because I think at that time they had Reddick and Huff or whatever, right? The Eagles did. Not the Eagles, the Jets did. And the folks had to make room or whatever. Cool. The Eagles got Huff, but then they got Vic Fangio. Anybody know anything about Vic Fangio? Everything that Bryce Huff stands for in his life is the opposite of what Vic Fangio likes to play defensive end. He's way too small to play defensive end for Vic Fangio. He also doesn't play the run. You know who's not about to let that happen? Vic Fangio. They will put an extra fat person on that line if you can't rush, if you can't stop the run as an edge rusher. He doesn't have time for that. That's where big fella was Milton Williams was playing for y'all, because hey, wasn't enough edge rushers or people weren't ready and they were too small. I know when Vic was in the Bay, Ahmad Brooks played that role, and I think Ahmad and Alden rushed. That was the outside backers. Neither of those guys is normal people like linebacker size. Both freaks. Bryce Huff, for everything he is not built like either one of them two. Also, like playing for Saleh, was in the wide nine. He's kind of like a one-trick pony, and I'm not saying this to knock him, but like if you're going to get somebody like this to put him in the best situation to get the most out of it, you have to employ the scheme in which allowed him to get on everybody's radar to begin with.
Yep.
That takes like 30 teams out the league, all right? Like, cool. Also, he's literally coming here to just play third downs behind the edge that they took 11th overall. You're just coming to rush the passer. Also, it was a little bit of two teams who manage their money well, helping each other out. It wasn't anything more than that to me. He has $17 million left on his deal next season. It's a void year money. So, it's not real. This year, they kind of split the tab. Y'all do that, we live by it. Monopoly money for everybody. This year, they split the tab and a 5th round pick. And that's why I was conditional, because they split the tab for a rotational, like for a pass rushing specialist. I just brought it up because the noise was crazy. Some people are like really arguing. It's like, what's wrong with y'all, man? Like
we have some special fans.
Like, and I'm not even mad that he ain't play over there, but like, as soon as you got Fangio, that's not his fault. As soon as Fangio got hired, that was it for Bryce Huff. Wasn't his fault. Just, you're not big enough to play over there, buddy. All right, this should be a good one. Hey, Ray, we were talking about this at the game the other day. They're both 7-0. These two teams represented. These two teams were in the WNBA finals last season. They are both off to a 7-0 start to get this year going. Octavia, thoughts on Minnesota and New York to their fast start? Oh, also, New York's leading the league with a differential of a plus 20.6 is their differential. That's absurd. Second, which is still like damn good, or the New York Liberty plus 8.3. My question to you guys: are they once again on a collision course to meet in the finals? Right.
It looks like it. The last two undefeated teams left. Fee, she's starting off the season playing MVP basketball. The Liberty, they came off a championship and then added a piece like Natasha Cloud. So,
Yeah.
I mean, look, man, it definitely looks like they're headed towards another finals rematch. Minnesota, it's obvious they feel like they got cheated out of one last year. To be honest, and I'm sure they will want another crack at it. The Liberty, they're trying to hold on to the crown. So yeah, man, like that's what it's about. You got two teams that kind of establish themselves, and they want to remain on that perch. So and the only way to do that is to come out and get it done on the court, and they're both 7-0. So but it's great to see, man. Yeah, it's I think Fee has a lot of motivation. Her name was in the mix for MVP last year as well. So I think she feels like it's a lot of unfinished business out there, and she's playing like it. And from the Liberty standpoint, they finally got over that hump, and they don't look like they want to relinquish that crown. So yeah, man, it's great. And I think they got a stretch in August where they play each other 3 times back to back. So, if they continue this level, by the time that that portion of the season rolls around, that's you get a preview of the finals in season. So I can't wait, man. But yeah, they both of those teams off to a red hot start. And yeah, I don't see any reason why they can't continue. Naturally, I'm not saying they're both going to go undefeated for the season, but I expect them to both stay at the top of the standings.
Octavia.
Yeah, agree. It's actually sickening, to be fair. So I mean, to even start with the Liberty, like just the way that they're playing, and you have to remember they're missing a key piece in Benaj Laney Johnson. So like, could you imagine if she was playing too? And then the addition of Natasha Cloud is just, it hurts my heart so bad. I'm happy for her because, I think she's an amazing player. I saw a clip where she won Player of the Week, and they said it was the first time she's ever won Player of the Week in her entire career, which to me was crazy. I thought that I never knew that she never won Player of the Week before. But yeah, to answer the question, yeah, they're on a collision course again. The games that I've seen them play against the teams that they played again, I mean, it looks like at times they're not even really barely breaking a sweat. Like let's keep it a bug. Like they're out there playing their ass off on both sides for both teams. They both have hell of a coaches and coaching staffs. And I mean, you also want to, the parody of it as well. Stewie, if he's coming off the Unrivaled League, they're in good head spaces. They did a lot for the players, and they're just continuously riding that wave into the season. And both teams are clicking on all cylinders. So, like Ray said, I don't see anybody, of course, going completely undefeated in the season. I mean, let's be completely honest. But I would bet money that both of them are at the top of standings, unless somebody unfortunately has some type of huge injury, which we're 100% hoping that is not the case. We want everybody to stay healthy because we want to see the best basketball we possibly can, which we have been seeing out of both of these teams. But yeah, I really haven't seen anybody that can mess with them so far. Granted, don't get me wrong, like Ray said, we're still early in the season. Some teams are still finding their footing. We got a lot of new faces and a lot of new places that are still trying to come into their own, get their, chemistry going, new coaches and stuff like that. So there's always going to be opportunities for those other teams, but from what I'm seeing now, these two teams are the top, and it's nobody near them.
Yeah, I'm here. Love excellence, love dominance. Would love to see somebody, step up into that tier that they're in the league right now and ruin the party. But right now they are at a place where no one else is at. It's just those two. Then it's the rest of the league, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, like dominant starts to the season. Ray, you brought up that stretch later this year. I cannot wait for it. Can't wait for it. Should be three really, really good games. All right, back to the NBA. Everyone's favorite owner, Matt Ishbia.
Is he?
Hey, man, I got time today, man. I got bored. Sorry. The Suns have narrowed their head coaching search down to 2 finalists, both members of the Cleveland Cavaliers staff. Associate coach Johnny Bryant and assistant Jordan Ott. Octavia, start with you. Just thoughts on their finalists both being on the same staff, I guess. And then secondly, the other thing is whoever gets the job between those two, if those, if the sources are true and everything, they would be first-time head coaches. And just keep that in mind with whatever Phoenix has going on and whatever this offseason may look like for them. So just your thoughts on 2 candidates from the same coaching staff. It's possible first-time head coaches for Phoenix.
Yeah, I would be interested to know if that's ever been a thing before, because that is kind of odd. Yeah, that's just kind of odd to me. My only thing is, like, I don't have good faith in Ishbia, so I don't really have good faith in his decision making. I don't know, of course, these 2 coaches personally. I mean, we saw what Cleveland did this year. So you are definitely going to assume that they have good knowledge of how to coach and how long they've been in the league. To me, it sounds like maybe the Suns are trying to do opposite of what they've been doing in the past, just trying to plug and play a coach every other year. A long tenured coach. Their last couple of coaches were coaches that have been head coaches for a very long time. I don't know if it signals like maybe they're going to try to go young as far as like their players, because we know they're also plug and playing with a lot of vets coming in and out, and it hasn't produced well for them as well. I mean, when Katie went there and Brad and Devin, everybody's just like, the Suns are going to the finals, and we see what we saw. I'm interested to see, like, I want to know, like, what they're looking for. Like, what are the 2, like, these 2 coaches being from the same, like you said, organization. Like, what are their similarities? What are their differences? Like, I'm interested to see, like, how they're going to make that decision. But this is no knock on them personally. I just don't have faith in Ishbia's decision-making skills. So hopeful for them, for their own franchise sake, but I would have to see it and see how it actually is going to run next year before I'll ever put my stock in them at all.
Ray, your thoughts on Ishbia's new endeavor and the finalists being from the same Cleveland Cavaliers staff that didn't exactly make the Eastern Conference Finals or anything?
Yeah, man, I'm with Octavia. I have no idea what they're doing over there. Everything they've been doing has led to catastrophe. So, yeah, man, good luck to them. But that's just crazy in itself. And like you said, like what is the end game? Like, what's so attractive about these guys? I mean, no knock to them, but in the position that you're in and what you need to accomplish, getting a unproven coach to walk into that mess, yeah, I don't think this is going to end well. But hopefully things work out. But yeah, his track record is not good since being in that position.
Yeah, I don't know what they're on. And again, like, if one of these gentlemen do get hired, and that's great that they could be a first-time head coach, I'm sure that's a goal for both of them. What does that roster even look like next year? Knowing, you got the no trade, can't move that. You're gonna end up moving the aging one. Then you're left with the 2 guards, and what else? And you have no draft capital to speak of outside of trading the aging one. why would you want that to be your first job? Like that just doesn't seem super appealing. And again, like you said, with what you have going on, you got some high profile coaches available. Why are you even, unless you're hitting like the really big red button, which then I'm interested. Then you officially have me intrigued. Anybody that's willing to hit the biggest button on the console, I am all for it. So outside of that, if you're not willing to hit that button, Ishbia, don't you waste my time. We will wrap things up with this. The Orlando Magic, man, fun vibes today. Decided they want to share this. Do this, then this. So you guys can get really good with it. New generation of Magic basketball. Little update to their retro look. I'd say your thoughts on the new jerseys for the Orlando Magic.
I like them. I mean, it gives you the 90s feel with a little bit of a new age twist. Yeah, nice jerseys. Hopefully their players are going to be available to play in them because they had a lot of injuries last year. But I like them. I think, like you said, like I was saying, it's a nice 90s feel. You know, the pinstripes are always going to go hard to me. But I like a little bit of this age kind of twist on it. So nice jerseys.
Right, your thoughts on the new retro, the new generation of Magic basketball.
Whatever that means.
I'm just reading what they put out, all right?
Just say the new Paolo generation of Magic basketball, because that is your new generation. It's
Paolo. I'm actually anti, man. Like I get where they were trying to go, but if you don't like this is just a me thing. Like if you're gonna try to do the retro thing, just bring back the old jersey.
Point.
Like because this just looks it looks like it just doesn't look curled, not quite right Magic jerseys. Like, and I don't know what they're doing with that one in the middle. It looks ridiculous. I'm just being honest. But I mean, like, it's. I think it's too simple of a design to try to jazz it up. If that makes sense. Like, less is more with that. With that layout. Like those 90s jerseys, classics, and even the T-Mac era ones with the reflecting stars, like those were dope. But I mean, it's cool. If they like it, I love it. But yeah, I wouldn't buy one. But yeah, it just looks weird to me for some reason. I don't know.
All right, Ray. I knew that's where you were going with it. That's why I had Octavia go first. I knew it, and you did not disappoint at all. Right, so
I really don't even be caring what these jerseys look like. To be fair, like I guess I don't know.
Here's one of the older ones, which you can see what they tried to take from that, and this is what somehow it went from that to this. It's interesting, I guess. Yeah, I just feel like this was one of those things where, man, just bring the old ones back. As Ray said, just bring the old one back.
Be new and hip and get the kids involved.
Hey, man. Hey, man. Look, this is what you had, right? Why?
It's probably some fashion designer up there trying to get a.
And then, Ray, when you were talking about this piece, you want to know where it's from? Here, I got you, because this is how much it's bothering me today. Got you.
You did research?
Yeah. Because I was deeply offended since this morning. It was about, I think I saw like 10 a.m. and I was just like, what is this and why? Give me 1 second. And you guys are gonna know exactly what this is from, and you tell me why they did this. Here we go. So crazy that this was done, because you just didn't have to. Just didn't have to. Here, that's where they got that from, and stuck that on the jersey instead of just keeping the fire warm up. You literally could have just brought everything back, have the new players in them, call it new, come up with the new slogan, and we're cool. So this is the warm up, right? This is one of the jerseys with the star in the middle. All right. Here's another one, star at a different place. And this is what we did. This is what you came up.
New generation of Magic basketball.
It's like somebody took the other. It's like somebody searched for the old Orlando jerseys, right? Got in Chat GBT.
I was about to
And
say,
then-
and they chat you.
And then went over to Canva and just was like, I'm done. Like my assignment is done. Printed them like fire. Like I'm
It
done.
was like somebody waited to the last minute to do their project. It was just like, here we
But
go.
nah, but peep this, it had to be submitted like so late that there couldn't be discussion and dialogue. Because any older person would have saw it and been like, why did you have a jersey off the warm-up, the old warm-ups we have? That's what that stripe from. I saw the people talking about the stripe today. I was like, they took the stripe from the warm-up jacket. You could have just kept the warm-up jacket.
It's provocative. It gets the people going.
Now this is what got the people going. That's a fire warm-up. There's nothing wrong with that. Even this, a team like the Magic, and that jersey, it's not even like a joke. It's actually a decent jersey. These are low-key classic. Then you got the blue ones like that are crazy. Why? Just man, some stuff we gotta leave alone, man. Just leave it alone.
It's the
And I say that, nah, man. I say this in advance too. I think the Niners are doing some of the jerseys. You better not do anything crazy. You better just copy the old work, please. I don't want to see anything dumb. Don't get creative. Don't mix and match your color schemes.
It's like
Copy and paste.
It's like when they remade Coming to America.
Again, what are we doing? Some things just need to be left alone. You could have just been like, we got new technology. Go clean up the footage a little bit or something. Do it. Do the old Disney re-release thing. Like, make another theater rollout for it. But you didn't have to do that. We just didn't have to do it, man. But we appreciate y'all. We'll check in with y'all next week, same time, same place. And again, we'll definitely have at least 2 finals games worth of discussion for y'all next week. For Mrs. Outlook, folks, we will see you tonight, Thursday, and Sunday of this week.